everybody, and welcome into episode 18 of the GC Roundup. It's looking a little bit different today. My name is Kendall Smith, and I am joined alongside of Michael Sauls. He's one of our interns here at Gamecock Central, my amazing coworker, a fellow classmate at the University of South Carolina. And Michael, this is your first time, I think, showing face on Gamecock Central. Am I right?
Yeah, very first time.
Oh my gosh. Well, this should be nothing for you considering you've been on the Paul Feinbaum show 2 times. Humble brag, not to get too full of yourself or anything, but you've been on the SEC network before. So Gamecock Central, the GC Roundup, nothing too crazy. But the reason why we're doing this show today with me and Michael instead of my usual GC Roundup setup is because it is finals week here at the University of South Carolina. And it takes me like a good 4 or 5 hours usually to do the roundup, to edit it. And today I just needed to do something quick, but I still wanted to get out content for all of our subscribers. So I figured we'd have Michael on the roundup and we'd talk about some of the biggest stories of the week in Gamecock athletics. And I feel like when you talk about big stories, you've always got to start off with football. And Michael, that's typically how I start off on the roundup. And this past Sunday, South Carolina figured out their bowl fate. They will be attending the Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte, North Carolina on December 30th. The game is set for 11:30 in the morning, and the Gamecocks will be facing off against the UNC Tar Heels. And there's some news coming with this bowl game. As always, the first week after you find out what's going on with the bowl, you find out who's going to play, you find out who's going to opt out. And Sam Howell, the quarterback for UNC, did announce that he will be playing in the Duke's Mayo Bowl earlier on in the week. Michael, tell us what you know about Sam Howell and your thoughts about him coming to play in what will probably be his final game for UNC before he declares for the 2022 NFL Draft.
Yeah, I mean, Sam's obviously a great quarterback. I know coming into the season, he had a lot of Heisman talk around him. Didn't really pan out as far as North Carolina's season as a team. But having Sam Howell back in the bowl game is definitely going to help. North Carolina can't really hurt at all to bring him back in. I feel like it's probably just one of those for Sam, kind of one of those, hey, one more shot. Let's go play one more time for North Carolina before I go to the draft. But it definitely could only help North Carolina. If I was a Tar Heel fan, I'd probably be more confident with Sam under center during this game anyways, considering, the way North Carolina's season is kind of shook out. But definitely can only help North Carolina.
And Wes and I talked about it in our instant reaction to South Carolina, finding out they would be playing in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Sam started his career playing South Carolina at Bank of America Stadium back in 2019 for the Belk College kickoff. He will likely end his career in the same exact spot. I'm sure he's hoping for the same result that he got in 2019 when UNC beat South Carolina, and that was kind of the end, or the beginning of the end, I should say, of the Muschamp era. But certainly Gamecock fans probably not super stoked to hear that Sam Howell will be playing at quarterback for UNC. Tar Heel fans very excited. Now, in terms of players who might be opting out for the Gamecocks, ZaQuandre White posted on Instagram and Twitter earlier in the week saying his intentions were to fully focus on the upcoming NFL draft. But on Wednesday during Shane Beamer's press conference, he kind of clarified that, saying, yes, he's going to focus on the NFL draft, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he won't be playing in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. So no final decision on that. But Michael, if ZaQuandre doesn't play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, how big of a blow to the South Carolina offense would that be?
I think it'll definitely make a difference. I know when I initially saw what ZaQuandre posted, I was under the impression he wasn't going to be playing in the bowl game. Obviously, like you said, Beamer cleared it up to where it's not 100% that he's not going to play. So really up in the air as to what's going to happen, but it'll definitely make a difference with the way the team plays. He's led the team in rushing. I think it's 5 times this season. He's led the team in rushing and receiving multiple times. I think it was 2 or 3. So he definitely has turned into an integral part of the offense. And then just being kind of the locker room guy that he is, where he gets the sideline buzzing. It's a South Carolina team without ZaQuandre White at this point would probably lack some production on the offensive end and production that they're going to need in this bowl game.
You talk about ZaQuandre being a locker room warrior, and you talk about South Carolina's fight. They came back from being down against Auburn, against ECU, and they come back to win those games. And I think players like Z White really, really contribute to that. Not only the way he acts on the sidelines, but also how he is on the field. He fights for every single yard, and as we've seen, it's paid off for him this season. Now, in other South Carolina Gamecock football news, some more post-season honors given out this week. I have them all written down on my lovely clipboard, which just has my chicken scratch all over it. But Jalen Foster named to the first team all SEC team by league coaches and also to the Associated Press all SEC first team. Then Cam Smith was named to the AP second team. So some exciting awards given out. We're in the postseason award period of time. You know, when I was playing in high school, Michael, I never got a postseason award. So I couldn't even imagine how it would feel to be in college and receiving these huge accolades. And Jalen Foster certainly very deserving of all of the accolades that he is receiving as well. Now let's switch gears. Women's basketball, obviously now just starting to heat up, things starting to get really, really interesting for the women's basketball team. And their next 3 games are going to be very, very tough contests. Now on Sunday at 3 p.m. for the Women's Jimmy V Classic on ESPN, South Carolina will host number 8 Maryland at Colonial Life Arena. They will play number 19 ranked Duke on December 15th. That game is going to be in North Carolina, playing at Cameron Indoor Stadium. And then they will face off at home against the number 4 ranked Stanford Cardinal on December 21st. First question for you. Do you think the South Carolina women's basketball team will go undefeated this year?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like at this point in the season, you go, oh, this is where they start to get battle tested. But their first 4 or 5 games, they played 3 top 10 ranked teams and won handedly in each game. Granted, you know, they are a little banged up right now, but I still feel like the team is just so dominant from, you know, the number 1 girl on the depth chart to the number 15. Like it's a stacked team. I don't really see them losing. I've said this since last year when we were in San Antonio after they lost to Stanford in the Final Four. I've said this since then. This year it's their national title to lose, and I'm not just saying that as a biased student. I mean it. You know, they return every single player from last year, bring in the number 1 recruiting class, then they bring in the number 1 transfer. It really is theirs to lose this year. And I think the only game I could see them losing would probably be Maryland. But that being said, I just feel like Maryland and Stanford are going to be closer games. But I still expect South Carolina to walk away undefeated.
You did say that last year after we left our 19-and-a-half-hour drive back from San Antonio, Texas. We'll never forget that. And that's how Michael and I ended up getting so close, just spending so much time together in a car. But it certainly is very hard to go undefeated in a season, especially in basketball. My parents going to Indiana University. The Indiana men's basketball team was the last team to go undefeated, and that was several decades ago. So it really is anybody's game on any given day. But South Carolina has shown up and shown out throughout this entire season, and they're not playing cupcakes. That's something I love about John Staley. Right from the get-go, you're playing UConn, Maryland, Stanford, NC State, all of these top-ranked teams for women's basketball, and South Carolina is doing a great job with these teams. Talk about the number 1 transfer in Camila Cardozo. Several other players on the team playing exceptionally well right now. Obviously, Aaliyah Boston is that name that is always talked about. I mean, 24 for 26 from the field in the last 2 games, scoring 50 points plus. She is truly at her best right now. But some of those other players for you, Michael, that are on the team that are doing really well, give us some names.
Definitely Letitia Amahir. I never say her last name right, but no disrespect, LA, if you're watching this, you're the GOAT. She's already a phenomenal person off the court. Where she was competing with Canada in the Olympics, all the stuff she does for social justice off the court. She's a phenomenal person, and she's really come into her own this season, especially in the first couple games. I think she had 18 against Oregon. But she's really, providing a spark off the bench. And now she's kind of finding herself in a starting sometimes, not, kind of a 6-man role with the way that the injuries have kind of hit them. But LA has played phenomenally. It's been amazing to watch her grow the last 2 years from a playing standpoint, seeing as, she came in and she was playing every now and then with that brace on her knee her freshman year. And now, her sophomore and junior, she's playing critical minutes. And just continuously playing and getting better. And that was something that Dawn said in the post game of the Oregon game, was just she was amazed at the way that LA has come along during her progress and her development. And I think she's definitely going to end up playing a crucial role here down the stretch.
Yeah, for me, Letitia Amihere, certainly one of those players that comes to mind alongside of Aaliyah Boston, and then also Camila Cardozo. I just talked about her. But in South Carolina's game against Kansas State on December 3rd, Zia Cook wasn't having the best game, and it was up to some other players to really step up. And Cardozo finished the night with a double-double alongside of Aaliyah Boston, excuse me. So really exciting stuff for the women's basketball team. It's always great to have the number one team in the country at your school, right, Michael? It's
Absolutely.
nice to have that. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to men's basketball. They had a big win over Georgetown this past Sunday, and they've got another game coming up this Sunday on ESPN2 in Rock Hill. They'll be taking on Florida State. And the men's basketball team, before their game against Georgetown, got the heck beat out of them against Coastal Carolina on the road, a mid-major school, not a team you would really expect to lose to if you are South Carolina, being a Power 5 SEC school, but they rebounded, no pun intended, came back, and they took down Georgetown this past Sunday. But when things are going right for this men's basketball team, Michael, how good do you see them being?
I think they could be good. Admittedly, I haven't been able to follow along with the men's team super close this early on in the season. But I mean, I think, like you said, kind of with how they played against Coastal, and were able to bounce back, I think their problem is just consistency. They struggled against Princeton, but then they went on and beat a good mid-major in UAB. And then, they come out and struggle with the mid-major in Coastal and come out and beat Georgetown. So, I mean, I think it's going to come down to consistency, but it's also been fun to just kind of tagging along and paying attention to younger guys like Jacoby Wright and Devin Carter, two kind of playmakers that are going to have a good future here. And I expect, as they grow and develop, and as the older guys like Eric Stevenson and James Reese continue to hit shots and stuff like that, then the team has a higher ceiling than I think most people expect. But at the same time, they just got to stay and play more consistent than they are right now, and then they'll be at a good position.
A lot going on in the world of basketball here at the University of South Carolina. Before we get out of here, I do have to give a shout out to one of the underappreciated sports here at USC, Sarah Hamner. She is on the women's tennis team. She received the number 2 ranking in the ITA singles rankings for the fall 2021 season. The women's tennis team will start up their spring season after winter break. So congratulations to her. Sarah has done a phenomenal job throughout this entire season, bringing home many titles, plenty of championships, and she deservedly received the number 2 ranking for the ITA singles rankings that came out at the end of the fall season. Michael, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the GC Roundup. I appreciate you coming on here. I feel like everybody's going to be so excited to see your face. I mean, we've never seen you on Gamecock Central before. We just read your amazing pieces of work that you put out there. So how did it feel to finally be on camera?
It was amazing. I'm going to think about this for the rest of my life. I'm going to tell my kids about this one day, about how the first time I got to go on the GC Roundup. But no, I appreciate you having me on, and I enjoyed doing the work for Gamecock Central, and we'll continue to do so in the future.
Well, we will try to get you on more on the camera throughout the rest of your time at Gamecock Central. Michael, good luck with your finals. You and I are actually partners for a finals project. It's a documentary project. So we've been spending a lot of time together, not only with work, but also with school. I think we had, 3 classes together this semester. So we saw each other pretty much every single day, and we're finishing finals strong together as well. But I appreciate all of you out there in GC Nation tuning into this week's edition of the GC Roundup. We'll be back at you with the normal GC Roundup next week, but I hope you enjoyed Michael Sauls on this special edition. Be sure to subscribe to GamecockCentral.com and tune into our website and our YouTube channel for all of the amazing content coming out. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. Have a fantastic Thursday, and we will see you back here again soon. Bye.